This podcast contains strong language and adult themes. Listener's discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to A Page Too Far, the show where each week one of us rides a horse and makes the other cook dinner. Will it be bad? Will it rain tomorrow? Who can possibly answer such a ridiculous question? Of course it won't rain tomorrow. Let's find out. This was going to make a lot more sense if we just went straight into the book, because I had a little subsection thing. But my name is Master Gibbs, and with me as always is my co-host. It is pronounced egregious.
Master and Commander?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Fuck! Close.
Yeah, no, very close. How's it going? What's going on?
Well, we're live.
We are.
The ghosts did not do us in.
They tried.
They tried really hard. Mutt was laughing at us the whole time. He wasn't even trying to help
that
us.
Grin.
Yeah, little fucking bitch. So the last episode we recorded, the interface I was using to record us fucked up.
Yeah.
This is the Audient ID 14. It is a $200 interface.
Yep.
Very highly rated.
And we've been using it for almost all of our recordings ever.
Yeah, almost this entire show.
Yeah, the commentary we do on something else, but
it has a fatal flaw.
Where sometimes
It just distorts your audio.
because it feels like it.
Because it feels like it. And I go online and I look for a solution and people are like, oh, that just happens. You have to go reset the latency.
Like, which is fine, but
Yeah.
then, like, if it just happens, you never know when you're going to be in the middle of a project.
Yeah, we can't do that.
and need to reset something because it's messing up, so we have to re-record. Like, what is that?
Yeah, no, I'm not down with that.
No.
I'm gonna go online wherever I bought this and give it a very poor rating.
Yeah,
because that is shitty hardware.
that's a terrible flaw in a piece of equipment.
Yeah, that's awful. So we're going back to the good old Scarlett Focusrite.
Yeah, gotta love it.
It's dependable. It works great.
Never had an issue with it.
Never, ever,
I have
ever,
one.
ever.
You have several.
Yeah.
Never had a problem.
It's amazing. So that's what we're going to do from now on. However, we unfortunately lost like 30 minutes of the last episode.
We did. Oh, it was so sad.
It was very, very sad. And you know, we did talk about the rest of the book. So I want to hit some of the gold nuggets that we talked about.
Right, because there's a few points in there that are worth repeating.
Yeah, we didn't, we're not going to go over everything because most of it was not the best quality, but we're going to hit a few nuggets here. So first off, Mr. Baggins,
and just in case this is somebody's first, the book and the author.
Oh, I'm sorry. The book was I Am Haunted, Living Life Through the Dead, I should say, by Mr. Zach Baggins. That was our last episode.
Okay.
So Mr. Baggins gives an anecdote about being threatened by crackheads in Reno.
Right.
We talked about this.
We did.
I'm going to say that about every single point we talked
about
this.
all of these at some point because we had the full recording.
So he gets approached by some crackheads in Reno on some old dirt road.
Yep.
And he intimidates them into not fucking with him.
Yeah. He's just like, hey, I am so very badass.
Yes.
You don't want to mess with me.
Exactly. And now this is a point you brought up, which I thought of reading this book, which is you can't intimidate a crackhead.
Not if they're a real crackhead.
Yeah, no. They don't give a shit. Like, they want some crack or some money.
Exactly.
I've talked to a few crackheads, and they're about their own thing.
Yep.
So if they have their minds set on fucking with you, they're going to do that. He described one of the crackheads as being Andre the Giant, but he's big and badass, and he intimidates them. They walk away.
And I said that's very unlike Andre the Giant, because even though he was a wrestler, he was like a very peaceful
Yeah, very nice guy.
Very
So, like,
sweet man.
He then says that he didn't want to start a fight, but he just wanted to show them the error of their ways, which is hilarious because usually if you want to show people the error of their ways, you want to like, hey, come at me, bro. Come on. Like, let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, that's how, like, when I see somebody less fortunate, that's the one thing I do is say, step up, bro.
Yeah, come on, let's throw
What are you
hands. Yeah.
Throw down.
And then there's a chapter about how they face many dangers and receive a lot of injuries during their work.
Right.
And that is completely, like all the examples they get in this chapter is they're just idiots who crawl around in the dark in abandoned buildings.
Right.
It's like, oh, I got glass in my hand because I was crawling on the floor and I didn't see the fucking glass
Yeah,
there.
it must be an angry ghost.
Yeah, that was like all the examples they gave.
Or you're just stupid.
There's a brilliant statement in his book that is, night vision is rarely as good as the naked eye, though it's much better in a few situations.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Would one of those situations be at night?
I think so. I think that's the intent of the tool.
Okay, so you're saying like if you're just walking around mid beautiful Texas morning,
You won't be able to see anything.
you're not going to see anything with night vision goggles. So
No.
it's worse. It's not good.
Right. In some scenarios, it is worse than the naked eye.
Yeah. What a stupid book. I love it.
I made a note about how he made fun of modern science again.
Right.
And he claims that until a few years ago, scientists didn't believe there were any other inhabitable planets in the galaxy, which is not true at all.
Right.
Ever.
We gave several examples.
Yeah. And it's just, no, scientists and people have always assumed there's life on other planets. Like you can look this up historically.
Right. There's also something I brought up, which is like in an infinite universe.
Yeah.
Like if people believe in a multiverse or whatever, or an infinite universe, or a universe that is continuously expanding and creating new things, there is going to be another planet that can support life.
Yeah.
Because it's infinite. There are going to be an infinite number of those planets.
Right. Mathematically, it's impossible we're the only one.
Right.
There's a wonderful part of the book where he talks about shooting an episode pilot of a show in Paris, and he interviews a man called Father Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, Father Sebastian tells him that he is the master fangsmith of the saber-toothed vampire clan.
We lost this part?
We did lose this part. It was very sad. Very sad, but it's a funny part of the book. Basically, he kind of initiates Baggins into this group of wannabe vampires.
Right. This cult.
And they like mold fangs specifically to fit his mouth.
Yeah.
And he says when he puts them in his mouth, it just felt right. It was destiny.
That means that they did a good job with the mold.
That's true. Yeah, they're very comfortable, and that'd be kick-ass.
Yeah.
I would love to have a mold like that.
Yeah.
And then chapter 31 is all about a possessive female spirit that is attached to him and prevents him from forming relationships with women.
Right, the crazy ex-girlfriend.
This was my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah.
We lost it. God damn it. But I made a joke about how that's my excuse too.
Yeah,
it's just,
exactly.
Oh, you have that too? Yeah, I also have a possessive spirit that keeps women away.
Right.
Fuck Audient. Get out of here, man.
My homies hate Audient.
And then the last note I have is a story he has near the end of his book.
This is my favorite part.
And the story is that he goes to McDonald's with his crew.
It was a McDonald's. I was recounting this to somebody else and I couldn't remember.
It's McDonald's, and his crew was hungry, and they're like, it's late at night. There's nobody around. Nobody's going to recognize us. And there's a white van in the McDonald's parking lot.
A white van in the McDonald's parking lot.
That they didn't notice until they got out of their truck. But then a woman and her teenage daughter come flying out of that white truck and come running over to Baggins. And the woman starts yelling at Baggins. And according to her, Baggins had astral projected into her daughter's bedroom and had fucked her, resulting in her daughter's pregnancy.
Right. You astral projectedly raped my daughter.
Yes. And Baggins is like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then he tells her that only the Holy Spirit can impregnate women without physical contact, which is a great comeback.
It's a fantastic comeback.
Yeah, great defense.
Yeah.
In all likelihood, I think the teenage daughter was fucking around with a dude, and her mom is a big fan of Baggins, so she was like, "Oh, my mom believes crazy shit. I'll just say this, and she'll believe it."
Right. Or the other result that we
very darker, much darker,
where he was banging this teenage girl, literally. And then the daughter realized, oh no, I'm pregnant, so I better blame it on this astral projection.
Yeah, man, that is a possibility.
But I don't want to. That's a possibility, but we're not. We're not accusing.
We don't really know this guy.
We have no idea.
This whole thing could be made up. We don't know.
Yeah. Still funny.
Still funny. That was about it, man. I gave the book a rating of what did I give it? Shampoo bottle.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's really, really, really bad, but it's cringe enough to be entertaining.
There's
like
a modicum
mildly
of entertainment.
Yeah. It's just hilarious how much this guy loves himself.
I will never forget the story of him astral projecting.
Yeah.
and impregnating a girl. I will never forget that till the day I die.
What if he can do that and he did do that?
Then that would also be incredible.
Yeah, and there's no way anyone can actually like find him guilty of that. Yeah. You can just keep doing it.
I mean, unless the baby has DNA, right? You do need a DNA
guess.
test.
How would you transfer DNA?
How would you impregnate in the first place?
There's so many questions.
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah. This reminds me of the time somebody asked me how many chromosomes Jesus had.
Oh, wow. That's a good...
Yeah.
Just enough. That's the answer.
That was a fun little retrospect. I enjoyed listening to that book. because it was so bad.
Yeah, man, that was a tragedy, a modern tragedy.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're going to come on to not a modern tragedy, but about a 70-year-old tragedy.
Okay.
I read Scientology 8 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
That's the title of this one.
You warned me about this.
I did warn you about this. I said today we're going to be doing a woo-woo book. It's going to be Scientology. Brace yourself.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
For this. But I ran out of other books, and I didn't feel like shopping for new ones. So I was like, fine, it's close enough to the other one. But I think it's close enough, too, that we'll remember some more of the stuff and kind of keep a little bit in track, because I didn't have to go back and look other things up this time.
That's good.
Yeah. And the reason that, like, our intro was a little absurd, right? The way that I introduced the show was a little unorthodox.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt reading this.
Okay.
Where, like, he takes things and it's like, yeah, these are words, but, like, why are they here? Why are they in this context?
Okay.
And that kind of embodies my entire feeling about this series that we've been doing.
Yeah, definitely.
I also found out, because I thought you made up the term woo-woo. I realized you did not, and that it's a thing.
Yeah, I just heard it somewhere.
It was the Urban Dictionary word of the day like a week ago.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. A fan of the show sent that. But, yeah, so this book, 8 to 80, is the direct follow-up to The History of Man.
Right.
So we did Fundamentals of Thought, which was the beginning, and then there's a few books in between, and then there's The History of Man, and then there's this book. So this talks about, I assumed, because History of Man is all about Technique 88, and it says to use 8 through 80, I assumed that this would actually talk about those other 8 through 80 techniques.
Oh, no. I assume that as well.
I mean, one would think, right?
Yeah.
It don't.
Okay.
It talks about a technique, but I have no idea why. A single technique, and I have no idea why it's called 8 through 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I just got very sad all of a sudden.
Well, yeah. Before we dive in, like, you know it already, this version was published in 2007. It's taken from lectures and books written in 1952 or whatever.
Yeah.
It has the same generic introduction of, if you don't understand it, it's your fault. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's 119 pages plus glossary and appendix. But I counted the pages with words on it.
Okay.
So there's like he has part 1, which takes up 2 full pages.
Okay.
And then you flip it and there's a blank page on the left, and on the right it says chapter 1, and then you flip it and there's a blank page on the left. And then on the right it says chapter 1 and then the actual text.
Right.
I counted the page with actual text on it. There are 61.
61?
61 out of 119 out of, I didn't actually write down the full total. 61 out of 119 out of 199.
Out of 199.
So 2/3 of this book has no relevant text.
Right.
If you know how to speak English.
That seems like a fucking scam.
Yeah. Wait till we dive in.
Okay.
This is the shortest one of the 3 that we've done.
Right.
This was the fastest one that it took me to read.
Right.
This was the hardest one to comprehend.
Oh, no.
But I think I've done a pretty good job of simplifying it.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
But we're going to dive in right now and find out. So this book is about how to audit.
Okay.
Chapter 1 is called, there's 19 chapters. Chapter 1 is 1 page.
Okay.
And it is called The Auditor's Code.
Cool. It's like a samurai code.
Yeah, kind of. Like what you're supposed to do, what the goal is.
Oh, fuck.
You dropped him.
Ethan Hunt is taking a dive.
That's going to go well. You know what this single page chapter has to say about the Auditor's Code? That's titled The Auditor's Code?
Well, I definitely believe they go into the code talking about what it is and how auditors can employ it to audit.
That would make for an excellent book. This is not an excellent book.
Wait, whoa, hey, hang on.
Yeah.
You're telling me that L. Ron Hubbard will mention something.
Okay, I never actually said his name.
Oh, no, yeah, the author's L.
Written by L. Ron Hubbard.
You're telling me that L. Ron Hubbard brings up something.
Yep.
It has a name. He named it.
Right.
It's important.
More importantly, he named it.
Yeah, he himself named it.
Yeah.
And you're telling me he doesn't explain it.
The very first sentence of this book, sentence numero uno minus the introduction that says, screw yourself if you don't understand it.
Okay.
Is you can find the auditor's code elsewhere.
Dude, fuck you.
That is the very
Why is it in the fucking book then?
sentence. Now, he does lay out some basic premises on what an auditor should do, but it's not the auditor's code.
Right.
So don't call it the auditor's code.
Yeah.
This is a simple case of chapter misnomenclature from an idiot.
Yeah.
He also doesn't say where you can find it. I think it was in the end of, I think it was in the end of Fundamentals of Thought, the first one.
Was it?
I think so.
So did we record it?
No, we skipped it because it was like we started. I looked at it and read like a couple of them, and then it kept going and going. Okay. It's like, don't be angry at your pre-clear, like that kind of stuff.
Google it, I guess.
Pretty much. He then lays out some basic premises on who a good pre-clear would be.
Okay.
Which is someone who will accept the truths given because they won't have to take it on faith. So remember, this is Scientology. It's all science. It's all evidence. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you remember how much evidence he's given us?
Well, he did an experiment where he proved that there's an astral form to humans.
Right. Wait, what was his source on that?
Well, he himself performed the experiment.
Oh yeah.
And so he proved it there.
That's right.
He also had some posts with some thetans doing all sorts of stuff. They're jumping up and down. They're moving side to side.
Yeah.
He was electrifying them into unconsciousness.
Well, yes and no. The unconsciousness would take up half a city block or half a city of power to blast it into unconsciousness.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Yeah, right? That's the one thing I remember. The auditor will give this person proofs as they go along that it's working. Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
They should stop calling them pre-clears and start calling them what they are, which is marks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
I think they're marks.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel obligated to say out of all these books, like I purchased all of them from a used bookstore, so none of the proceeds actually made it to the Church of Scientology, unless that bookstore is owned by the Church of Scientology. I don't think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he also says that a good pre-clear or a good mark is someone who will use these proofs to help another. So somebody who will take them, learn from them, and then employ them. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right.
Yeah. I said, sure, fine.
Yeah.
Somebody who's going to spread the message. Got it. To be fair, that's what every religion and every cult does.
Yes.
You want to pass it on. Yeah. Chapter 2, Life as a Mirror. He does the same stupid crap in this chapter that he does in his other books. He defines life as a static. It has no motion. It has no wavelengths. This is life, the concept of life. This is not living. So if you and I are living right now, we're moving, we're breathing.
Right.
But the idea of life is not motion itself.
Okay.
It's abstract. It's abstract. And I'm going to, that's kind of...
Feels like semantics.
You're right. But it's the semantics that he builds the rest of the chapter on.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. He says the proofs of this are elsewhere in Scientology. But
it must be nice creating a whole series of books
that point
and all you have to say is
it's in there.
I've talked about it and proven it in another book, so that you have to buy another book,
and then never citing that book.
Right.
And everything I've read has said that, and nothing's actually given the proofs.
Yeah, no, he keeps pushing that goalpost a little bit further.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, then he says that life partly consists of memories.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, fine. Memories are electrical impulses that can produce an actual effect on the body, but also influence everything the body does. A memory is a recording of the physical universe. So it is your brain using electrical impulses and signals to record something that happened to you.
Sure.
And that when you audit a pre-clear, you take them through their memories, conscious or subconscious.
Okay.
He gives a vague example of... He gives a vague example of taking someone through a fight they had as a young boy.
Okay.
This particular person, when reminded of a certain punch they gave to their opponent, felt the same pain in their own eye.
Why?
Because the universe created a memory, and the thetan accessed the memory of the other boy feeling the punch.
Okay.
So he was able, as he went through the fight in an unbiased way, was able to feel the results of that punch on his own body.
At the time, he was very biased, so he couldn't sense...
He could feel his fist hitting the eye.
Yeah.
He couldn't feel the eye getting hit by the fist.
Right, okay.
But now he's taking him through it. He can feel the other end of it.
Okay.
Do you remember when we did that experiment last time about the oysters?
Yeah. Totally.
Same thing.
Okay.
Where it's like, this is going to happen when you audit them. No. Or the guy with the wisdom teeth who couldn't open his mouth for 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, that horse shit.
Yeah. Anyway.
What was that machine called?
An e-meter.
E-meter? I looked up a video on a guy using an e-meter.
Yeah.
And it takes, it works a lot like how a polygraph test works. It measures the electrical pulses in your body.
That makes sense because he talks about it a lot in this book.
And I will say it also operates, so it might as well just refer to it as a polygraph test because that is how they use it. They'll ask you a question about your past, and then depending on the reading, you're either lying or you're being open with your what was it called? The line? Something?
The theta line.
Yeah, the theta line.
The whole track.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because the rest of this book talks about that.
Okay.
But he never says that.
Okay.
So what you just said puts a lot of this into context for me.
Okay.
So you'll have an easier time understanding this, I think.
Yeah, just think of the e-meter as a polygraph test. That's all it is.
I was thinking more like an electroencephalograph, where it's just showing waves from a person's brain, but that didn't really make as much sense.
Well, the e-meter has, so it's a meter, so it has a little bit of a spectrum there.
Right.
And it's basically like right good, left bad, but then there's little sections in between.
Right.
So just think of it that way. It's like the closer you are to the right side, the closer to the theta line you're getting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That actually does put a lot of this in context.
Might have us backwards, might be left, right, but whatever.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the boy feeling the punch because the universe records the memory.
Mm-hmm.
It is aberrative, so like an aberration, an aberrative memory, and an abnormal memory that Scientology seeks to erase from existence to better the human race as a whole. So by auditing these memories that you have, but also the ones that exist on your whole track, you can erase them from the humankind as a whole because your descendants won't have those anymore.
Okay.
And that's how we become perfect, I guess.
Sure.
Chapter 3, facsimiles.
I like that word.
It's a great word. In the last chapter, he defined memories as facsimiles. So he's like, these mean the same thing.
Disagree, but continue.
Well, he in A History of Man, he also said the same thing. He's like, a facsimile is the thing that we're actually auditing on the track, and they are the photographs or the memories that a Thetan
Okay, I forgot
retains.
he doesn't use words as they're intended. He just, he uses them however he wants.
Yeah. No, that's a very important aspect of these books is that he has his own definitions for things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how you know to just stay away from somebody. If they're like, this is what the word means, but that's not how I'm going to use it. Exactly. It's like, all right, just don't even talk to me.
Maybe use a different word.
Yeah.
He lays something out here I'm going to try and explain. So this is my example. This is not his. This is my own example and my own definition of what I believe he's trying to say in this chapter.
Okay.
If life can create thought,
right,
and in our thoughts we can remember specific events, and for example, if you remember a really big bonfire, you can almost feel the heat from it.
Yeah.
You can't, but you remember the feeling.
Right.
It then follows that our thoughts can conversely affect things in the physical world.
Okay, so it's similar to mind over matter.
Very similar.
Okay.
He hints that this is how miracles occur, that thought influences the world around a person.
Okay.
So the person thinks, like, this person has a broken arm. I'm going to bend my thought to the fact that they don't have a broken arm, and the arm itself will be unbroken.
There is no spoon.
Exactly. That is exactly.
This is manifestation. Yeah. Okay. I got it.
He doesn't really take this concept any further, except that is kind of how you're auditing the pre-clear. So you're going into these events and thinking like these happened. They are unhappening. You are ignoring them. You are removing them. You are erasing them.
Okay. This is a weird little spin-off, but this reminds me of Inoue Orihime, which is a character from Bleach. She has this. She's a Fullbringer, so she has this superpower where she calls it rejection.
Okay.
But what she's basically,
I have that superpower.
she rejects events that have happened. So she uses it to heal people
by rejecting the specific thing that caused the injury.
Yeah, rejecting that reality
and substituting her own.
More like she's rewinding it to before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's very like time bendy, but it's technically not time bendy.
Right.
It's very, very strange and abstract, but that's what it reminds me of, where it's like I am unmaking this thing.
That's
kind of.
That's very similar.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good parallel. He also says that a basic auditor isn't meant to understand this concept perfectly because that would require a degree in nuclear physics.
Fuck off.
Yep.
He said that in the last book.
He did say that. He also rants for a bit about how philosophy is ruining science again.
God damn it.
Yeah, he name drops like Nietzsche and some other people. And he's just like, because of these people, they're taking nuclear science and distorting it to fit a philosophy that either nothing matters or everything matters or whatever. And that's not what science is.
I haven't read Nietzsche, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Nietzsche didn't.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't talk about nuclear science. I could be wrong.
I have no concept. I've never read his works. I'm familiar with concepts that people say come from his works,
right?
But I've never read them myself. I don't really plan to either.
He's a very depressing guy.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It's not edifying.
He's the one that came up with the phrase "God is dead."
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, he's very down.
L. Ron Hubbard then says that life can create motion, which is something changing in space. So motion is change.
Sure.
Any change like that must take time. So for us to notice time, we have to be able to notice change, which makes sense. If you lock yourself in a room with no windows, no walls, and no light, you won't have an accurate concept of how much time has passed.
Right.
And they've done experiments to that effect.
Yeah.
I agree with this statement that L. Ron Hubbard made.
It's a very easy mark to hit, I think. It's it's safe.
If we don't see change, we cannot perceive time, and we have an illusion of static, that nothing is changing. Nothing is happening. We are static. Now, a pre-clear's mind has facsimiles, which are, again, memories that are static. So they are memories that aren't changing. They aren't adapting. This person is holding on to things that he perceives to be to have occurred, or like that are influencing his personality.
Okay.
And you want to get rid of the bad ones because static is bad. You want motion.
Okay.
This whole thing couldn't sound any more culty if it tried. Yeah. is what I wrote here. Chapter 4, wavelengths.
Are you on mine?
No, but this also isn't like this chapter. I definitely wasn't on his because I read it. It was like 3 pages. I read it 3 times and I got some of it, but the rest of it is just like he defines a wave.
Yeah.
Great. He defines a wavelength as the time between a specific point, like a peak in the wave.
Apexes or whatever.
Apex to apex. That's the wavelength, which is true. Again.
Yeah, sure.
He gives examples of things that create waves in the mind somehow, but doesn't say how.
Okay.
And the smallest wavelength is produced by aesthetic. Something that is beautiful produces the smallest wavelength in the mind.
Seems like that would be something that's like the biggest.
The biggest is emotion. And he doesn't define anything like how he measured them or what he actually means.
Yeah, I don't see
like,
any.
Is he associating, like, if I say sad, does that produce the thing? Or is it like, if I am sad, then that produces the wavelength?
That
I don't know.
I feel like emotion would be very close to like something that's beautiful. Like it feels like it would trigger a similar wavelength.
And emotion is such a general term.
Yeah. Well, like what kind of that's the whole fucking spectrum of what your brain can do. Like that's so vague.
But I guess that's kind of what he's saying, where like emotion being the big one shrinks down to beauty, which is the smallest one. Right, because all of Scientology is things was existing within things.
Yeah.
Existing within things. So like you can't have aesthetic if you don't have emotion. But I don't understand it, so I could be saying this wrong. That's a caveat with all these books.
Right.
He says the theta can manufacture aesthetic waves, but it can do it for different reasons, some of which may be bad. For example, this is his example.
Okay.
Word for word. You cannot beat a woman into beauty.
True.
But you can beat a woman into becoming obsessed with beauty.
I guess.
So it's the behavior can be positively or negatively reinforced is the gist of that point.
Okay.
You can't force someone to change themselves, but you can force someone to want to change. If you
I guess. I don't know.
I mean it's conditioning is really what he's talking about, which is a thing.
I think you could trick someone into wanting to change. I don't know about forcing them.
If you shoot someone in the kneecap and then say, I'm going to, like, I don't know, shoot you in the kneecap again if you don't do this thing, that's going to influence them into doing that thing. It's a very crude analogy.
I don't know if that's just compliance. That's not change, though.
But they're doing it.
Yeah, but he's talking about, I think it sounds like he's talking about change where someone's motivations change, their goals change.
Well, they are, because they don't want to be shot in the knee.
Fair enough, I guess.
It doesn't matter what they wish would happen. Like, I wish I didn't have to do this, or this situation didn't exist. This is the situation I'm in, so I'm going to do it.
I guess.
That's the crudest way that he could put that.
You know, I think you could also technically beat a woman ugly.
I wasn't going to make the joke, but I thought about it.
We have people writing the show like, beauty has little to do with the outside appearance. I understand.
Yeah,
it's a joke.
This is just a terrible joke about a terrible person.
Yeah.
You can influence behavior with positive and negative reinforcement, but I don't know what this has to do with waves. Chapter 5, black and white.
Oh, no.
Not race.
Okay.
I was waiting for it the whole time.
Yeah.
Not it. Nothing to do with race.
He's surprisingly neutral on race. Doesn't really have anything to do with his stuff.
I mean, to his credit, that's very scientific, right? Like,
sure.
Not having prejudices.
Swamps aren't scientific, though.
Right. 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 He starts out by referencing the whole track ideology from the history of man, which we alluded to earlier.
Okay.
Here he says that you don't have to embrace this ideology at first. He says this is the best way to audit a pre-clear.
Right.
But this is like the perfect way. And you know, the first-time auditor isn't going to be able to do this because they've never done it before.
Right.
This is the goal. It's not the actual process.
Right. Okay.
Which I think is kind of cool, I guess, that he's recognizing that.
Yeah, it's similar to I don't know, just offhand, like there's a biblical message of you need to be like Jesus, right? But that's impossible,
right?
He's the perfect human being. Like you can't be as good as Jesus,
right?
But having that goal means you're always going to be trying, which means you're going to be the best person you can be. So
exactly,
it's kind of the same thing,
with the one caveat of that this is possible.
Oh, so he's saying it is possible.
It is possible.
Okay.
But not everyone's going to get there. Not everyone's going to do it, but it is possible.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The process getting there, he calls black and white. So that's and he, we'll get to it. If you follow black and white, it will lead you to the whole track eventually. You will get there.
Okay.
He also says black and white are replacing previous techniques. So they've learned more. They've simplified things. They've changed things as their understanding has grown. So black and white is the new process that used to be called, I think, the 8 through 80 techniques.
Oh, so he's already invalidated. Well,
they were written in other materials, I guess, and he has since gained more understanding and has rephrased and renamed and recoded them.
They become obsolete.
Exactly. Or adjusted. He references the fact that all implants on the whole track are electronic. I think electric is more the word. They're not electronic, but they're like electrical impulses on the track. That's what your memories are.
Right. Yeah, electronic is a physical man-made thing.
Yeah.
So.
And that the theta has been battered by force fields since conception. Black and white can change that and erase those electrical fields and make it like they never existed.
Cool.
Which is it's exactly the same thing him saying the facsimiles need to be erased.
Right.
Now he's just defining the facsimiles as an electrical field.
I love how he redefines everything.
And that's where the rest of the book is going to go from that perspective.
Okay.
So he did a very good job of introducing them and then getting you a little more understanding about it.
Right.
And now he's going to build on that understanding for the rest of the book.
Okay.
So a lot of the rest of this is about electricity and...
Cool. Get R2 on the comms. We need to lower these shields.
Wow! That was in between R2 and CSI Miami. Yeah, that was better. Mine was more CSI Miami than it was... R2-D2. Chapter 6, running black and white.
Okay.
Better get you an e-meter because you need one.
Yay.
Yep. He describes how to use black and white. Your pre-clear, when hooked up to an e-meter, must find a white area around him. And I'm guessing you're telling him to picture it, but I really don't know because he just says find a white area.
Okay.
I'm thinking you're envisioning this in your mind.
Right.
That's as best as I can get. You need to keep him focused on the white area. And if he sees black or gray spots, or like if black starts creeping in, you need to redirect him into focusing on white.
I'm not digging the vibe here, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
You can read the e-meter to tell what he's perceiving, so you'll know when you should help. And I assume that means you want him more focused on whatever side means you're...
Sure, yeah.
On the theta line or whatever. Chapter 7, black and white aesthetic.
Okay.
Aesthetic means solely beautiful. That is what aesthetic is.
Right.
Beauty is harmony in wavelengths.
Okay.
Ugliness is disharmony.
Okay.
I can get behind that. I don't necessarily agree with it as a sole definition, but I can understand where he's coming from.
I don't even know if that plays out because, is symmetry in order?
Is it harmony?
Is it attractive?
Yes.
Because I always get creeped out by people that have very symmetrical faces.
Symmetrical faces aren't, but like symmetrical buildings and geometry and all of that kind of stuff.
You're right.
We tend to look more for symmetry. But then there's also like the what is it? The I can't picture it, but it's like the spiral curve that's supposed to represent beauty.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. The golden something.
Golden ratio.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Which isn't inherently symmetrical itself.
Well, it kind of is because it is equally expanding.
So it's consistent, but that's not symmetry.
Whatever.
You can't know. I mean, unless you start at the point and work with it and cut whatever two sides of the line, cut them in half, that could be symmetrical.
Right.
But like if you just take a spiral and cut it down the middle, if you take this spiral and cut it down the middle, it's not symmetrical. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Turns out I'm not an art major. Go figure. To help your pre-clear, get them to associate the white area with beauty. Oh, to help your pre-clear, get them to associate the white area with beauty,
right,
and the black area with ugliness.
Again,
there are undertones there,
yeah,
but it is never explicit, so I'm not going to associate it,
right,
because I don't want to substitute malice,
right,
with dumbassery.
Historically, black is always associated with negative, or the yin yang, the black
yin yang, and the spaghetti westerns where the good guys wear white, the black guys, the bad guys wear black,
right?
That kind of thing.
I'm sure he's not malicious in his message.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's malicious in his message, but not racial.
Well, okay, yeah.
That's the entire chapter. White, beautiful, black, ugly. Chapter 8, bodies. There's a desired shape for your theta. It kind of looks like a weeble that wobbles but won't fall down. There's a picture. I'm gonna pull this up. I don't know what page it is, but
it's like egg shaped.
No. More like those like punching bag clowns that you punch and they rock backwards and then they come back up. That is I put chapter 7 twice. Okay. No. So chapter 8, chapter 8 isn't bodies. Chapter 8 is concept running, which I wrote as chapter 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, concept running is a really short chapter that says that you sort incidents on the track into categories called concepts, and that you can eliminate a bunch of those categories by realizing which incidents are beautiful and which ones are ugly.
Okay.
Which ones cause beauty and which ones cause ugliness. That's the chapter. So, chapter 8, bodies, this is where they talk about the weebles that wobble and don't fall down. Well, I do, which is actually chapter 9 because I misnumbered the chapters.
Right.
That is the shape.
Oh, it's like a Russian nesting doll.
Kind of, yeah. Very similar. And there's some other shapes that are just ovals, and the one kind of looks like a kidney bean.
Yeah, they almost look all identical. I don't know why I even bother differentiating.
Yeah, but that's what we're dealing with.
Okay.
Your pre-clear can have different ideas of what their theta body looks like, but you should run beauty tracks until they see themselves as the same shape as those clown punching bags that you hit and rock back and then forwards again. Sure, this chapter existed.
Okay, yeah.
He didn't put it that way, but that's what he said.
Yeah.
Chapter 10, patterns of attention. Wave flows. So it's patterns of attention, wave flows.
Okay.
You want to make sure your pre-clear's waves all harmonize. If they explode out from the center or implode into the center, that's bad. They should form a line with predictable peaks and valleys. I guess.
What does that mean, though?
Couldn't tell you. Chapter 11.
Oh, my God.
An auditing formula tells us what to run in what order. It just summarizes kind of what we read so far.
Okay.
Chapter 12, the dichotomies. The most basic premise of a being is that it produces energy.
No, that's not really scientific, though.
Oh, but he said it.
No, I guess the sun produces energy, but then everything else, it's kind of like a waterfall. It just all flows downstream.
Mm-hmm.
So plants will soak up the sun, turn it into something, then animals will eat that. We'll eat the plants and animals and take their energy and use it.
You're just talking about the circle of life.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, we don't create the energy. We just absorb it from other beings and expend it in our own way.
The grass. And then we eat the antelope?
Yes.
Well, it was Mufasa, so it was more like, yes.
Have you heard him lately?
No.
He sounds like, yes. He's lost his
I don't know when the
Mufasa
last time I
voice.
heard James Earl Jones was. The most basic job of the auditor is to get the pre-clear to produce more positive energy.
I don't know why, but my brain went to milk.
Sure.
Produce more milk.
A theta creates energy by pulling one thing while pushing against another.
What are those things?
Those are the dichotomies.
Okay.
A theta can create energy by examining certain dichotomies or states of being. Page 68 for the list.
Again, a dichotomy is an abstract concept, not a physical thing. How do you get energy out of it?
The dichotomies are survive and succumb,
Abstract.
affinity, no affinity,
What?
communication, no communication,
The abstract again.
agree, disagree,
None of this is actual anything.
Stop. be, not be, no, not no, cause, effect, change, no change, win, lose, I am not, faith, distrust, imagine, truth, believe, not believe, always, never, future, past, everybody, nobody, owns all, owns nothing,
It's just writing down opposites.
responsible, dichotomies, responsible, not responsible, right, wrong. He doesn't say right, left. I'm a little sad about that. Stay, escape, beauty, ugliness, reason, emotion, effort, apathy, acceptance,
Apathy is death.
rejection, it is, sane, insane, no sympathy, sympathy, propitiation, and the state of static, a motionless, sometimes necessary to run. So you use these by having your pre-clear flow energy either to agree or disagree with the dichotomy. So faith, agree, distrust, disagree.
He gets energy from that?
He's flowing energy. He's producing energy.
But so he's getting the energy from the dichotomy and flowing it to one side or the other.
Yes.
Why?
Don't know. You should give them one at a time and give the pre-clear time to adjust to the new concept.
Okay.
I can get behind that. Self-determination. No, self-determinism and other determinism, chapter 13.
Okay.
We're already in chapter 13. Self-determinism is white. Other determinism is black.
Okay.
The goal is to get the pre-clear to be self-determined. You want them to run their own dichotomies on their own, and then they can help their own pre-clears in time.
This small piece of rotting cheese fills me with determination.
This is the goal of the auditor. Chapter 14. Emotional concepts and brackets.
I like brackets.
Brackets are dope.
Brackets are cool.
Do you know what he means when he says brackets?
Oh, fuck me. I guess not.
Okay. He's referring to something which I learned last night
Okay.
when I read Band of Brothers.
Okay.
Bracket is an artillery term in warfare.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So if you're zeroing in your sights,
Yeah.
your bracket is when you're hitting to the left, to the right, to behind, and in front. That's the bracket.
Okay. Okay.
That is the definition he uses of brackets in this.
Interesting. Okay.
That's what I said. And it's also like confirmation bias because like I just learned what that was.
Yeah.
And here he is like, oh, dope.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Was he a military guy?
I don't think so because he dropped out of college.
Yeah. No.
I don't see him committing.
I'd be willing to bet he used whatever excuse he could to stay out of the military.
Yeah. Emotional concepts and brackets. You should work out your pre-clear in brackets. These almost seemed like piano student practicing scales.
Okay.
He says that the best ones are the brackets of beauty and ugliness of the individual and describes them as follows. Get how beautiful it is to be an individual.
Okay.
How beautiful it is for others to be individuals. How beautiful people think it is for others to be individuals. Those are the three.
Okay.
And then to fill the bracket, you have the other side. How ugly it is to be an individual. How ugly for others to be individuals. And how ugly for others to see people as individuals. You are agreeing with the first one.
Okay.
And you are disagreeing with the second.
Sure.
Right? So you are producing more energy to go towards good beauty. You are filling your mind and you're getting used to the fact that beauty is the right state that you should be in and that you should do everything you can to get there.
Okay.
I guess.
This is exhausting, man.
Yeah, we're almost done. By running these and producing a flow of waves towards beauty and away from ugly, your pre-clear will increase their energy output. How? Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Except like it's the thing like if you train your muscles when you work out, you use resistance to do that.
Yeah.
And the more resistance you have, the more you can and the longer you do it, the more you can do it.
Right.
Like that kind of thing. I guess that's what he's kind of going for. Chapter 15, pre-clears and bodies. At this point, I went and counted how many of the... Oh, yeah, this is when I actually did the math on the pages. Anyway, Thetans dig putting themselves in bodies that seem comfortable at the time, but that can be a trap. Now, these are the facsimiles. These are not the physical body.
Okay.
But the Thetan can create its own. You remember we saw the Weeble Wobble body?
Right.
It can put itself in one that seems comfortable and safe, but that will stop it from actually growing and producing more energy because it won't have room to grow or expand or produce more energy.
Okay.
I used the same example in there to define the example because that's what he does. Your theta will form itself using facsimiles of things it clings to, and you must train your theta to not cling to ugly things, but to cling to beautiful things and to reject them when that beautiful thing starts holding them back.
Right.
Chapter 16, the Sub-Zero Tone Scale. The tone scale was discussed in the first book, Scientology, in the first Scientology episode, as where a body can fit. We kind of went over it, and I'm going to refresh it here.
Okay.
Because he adds more to it. He's like, now we know that the tone scale has two places on it that you can be. One is where your theta is with your body.
Right.
The other is where your theta is alone. And you can be in two places at once.
Okay.
I guess. So I'm going to show you this to maybe get your recollection. But the tone scale itself, the original one goes from... being in a body,
I remember
apathy,
this.
Grief, propitiation, sympathy, fear.
Yeah.
No sympathy, anger, pain. Because he was saying them like one leads to the other, but they don't. Yeah. They're all independent.
They're disparate and they don't make sense where like apathy is super low when like anger is like above it or something. It didn't make any sense at all.
And enthusiasm is the top on the old scale.
Right.
Now enthusiasm leads to exhilaration, which leads to action, which leads to serenity of beingness.
Serenity of beingness.
And then at the bottom, your theta can be in other bodies. It can be punishing other bodies. So I guess your theta is a dom. It can be controlling bodies, protecting bodies, owning bodies, approval from bodies, needing bodies, and hiding from bodies.
Theta is such a handful, man.
Yeah. And he's like, if it's negative like that, which goes below zero, which are the sub-zero tone scale,
right?
That's bad. You want to get it up.
You have to
those numbers higher.
You have to throw 3 saves.
Exactly.
If you drop below 0.
Exactly. Unless you lose half your tone scale in one hit, in which case you're just dead.
You're apathetic.
Chapter 17.
I'm yawning, by the way.
Yeah. We're almost done. We're almost there. Chapter 17. Manifestations.
It's not your delivery.
I know.
It's not.
Trust me.
But it's like
I'm aware.
Every line of this book is like, and the glamour schmack nichts but black schneebo. And we're not black schneebo. And I'm just like.
That's why I did the introduction the way I did.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Manifestations of energy. Chapter 17. There are 3 manifestations. You have flow, dispersal, and ridges.
Ridges.
He gives an example.
For my Thetan's pleasure.
Yeah. And some people prefer flow, you know? You
It's player's choice.
Yeah. He uses light as an example. So the beam is the flow.
Okay.
The light hitting a solid object is a ridge. So when it hits and spreads out, like that's the ridge.
Okay.
And the glow emanating from the source is the dispersal.
Okay.
But obviously this is oversimplified. Similar to how the casing of a generator affixes the terminals in space and time. So you have an electrical generator,
okay,
which is just like a positive and a negative terminal.
Sure,
but they can't exist without being fixed somewhere, right? You can't just have a positive and electrical thing without actually having a housing.
Right.
So that housing affixes those terminals in space and time, saying that this is a generator.
Yes.
Similar to that, the theta fixes its currents as well. So the theta is the housing for the electrical currents.
Okay.
He takes issue with the speed of light as a constant.
Oh, fuck off!
And he may have a point here, but I don't know enough to support it.
Okay.
Because he says that in light, light is a spectrum. There are so many different kinds of light.
Yes.
And they all move at different wavelengths. They would all move at different speeds.
I don't believe they move at different speeds. They do have different wavelengths, though.
I don't know enough to support or refute this claim, but that part makes sense if you want to nitpick and not associate the speed of light with the speed of a specific light under specific circumstances.
Okay.
Which is what we do. We have the speed of light is constant because we say it is the amount of time it takes this light to move in space, which is a vacuum. So like if you put light on Earth, it's going to vary because there's resistance, right? Like,
well, no, because it's weird. It's weird, but light moves as fast as possible, and so we know the speed limit of the universe because that's how fast light goes. Right? Does that make sense?
So is light not affected by anything in the atmosphere at all?
No, I don't believe it is. The only thing it's affected by is gravity,
Which affects it, though.
It bends it. Doesn't slow it down at all.
Does it not?
No, I don't think anything. I'm pretty sure nothing slows light down ever.
Interesting.
It'll either deflect it or bend it, but it can't.
I'm not a physicist.
Right.
The theta is the light source, life source.
Okay.
And the life source is what creates energy, and where the theta exists on the tone scale directly correlates with the amount of energy produced.
Okay.
You want it to be higher to produce more energy. He also says it's an amateur move to refer to one's thetan, since one is their thetan.
But he always refers to the thetan.
But it's not in the sense of my thetan.
Okay.
Right? If you say my thetan, you're missing the point.
Right.
Because you are the thetan.
But the thetan goes and does its own shit when I'm not looking.
Right. Right. He contradicts himself here, right? Because he then goes on to say, and like the rest of the book is talking about how energy will flow until it has sufficient force against it to stop. Therefore, he must consistently supply energy to the wave to keep it going. That is life, and that is the goal of life. This is where he talks about the phenomena of the thetan, chapter 18. Kind of goes into more detail about that. The thetan exists outside the physical body, and it is about 1/4 inch to 2 inches wide. Don't know how he got that. It joins the genetic body whenever it feels like it, before, during, or after birth.
Okay.
It then immediately forgets this and associates the word me. So like it associates its identity with the body and the thetan together. They are now one and the same. You as the auditor have to then coax the thetan out of the body and refer to the body as the body, but the me is the thetan.
Okay, I get it.
So it's not me and my thetan, it's more like me and my body.
Right, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. You have to place it just above and behind the skull. That's the ideal place, remember? So it can examine the body without bias. Chapter 19 is a summary. It's just that. He summarized the previous 18 chapters or 55 pages into 5 pages. There's nothing new. Themed. This is, without a doubt,
Thetend.
This is the Tend of Scientology as we know it. We will not be doing another book on the show unless something drastically changes.
Yeah.
Because I see what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
I get the points he's trying to make, but he's wrong and full of nonsense.
Right.
And just trying to get you to buy more stuff.
Yeah.
So I refuse to dig any deeper because the first book, great basic premise.
Right.
But then they've each gotten subsequently more absurd, abstract, and disgusting as they went. I hate this man. I hate his books. I hate his writing style. If I could have a conversation with him, I wouldn't.
Good man.
Yeah.
Well,
the last book we read was better.
You know what? I kind of hate L. Ron Hubbard too.
Yeah.
He seems like a slime ball who doesn't have anything valuable to say, really.
Yep.
He just repeats little bits of like, I don't know, just little things that like anyone can agree to.
Right.
And just spins it as like, yeah, I know this truth, so I know other truth. And
right.
It's just people, scam artists do that all the time. They'll say something obvious that everyone can agree with, and then they'll try to keep that momentum going and just start feeding you bullshit.
Which is exactly what he says. And if you stop believing it, or if you don't understand what he's saying, or if you disagree with it, you read it again, get into that positive reinforcement again, and then keep going. It's super, super manipulative. I'm sad I read this book.
Like
the history of man was fascinating because I thought we were actually going to be talking about the history of man and seeing what he did. But then just as it goes on, it's just the insane ravings of a madman.
Yeah, the titles have been way off.
Yeah.
Just way off.
Except for the first one. First one was fine.
Yeah.
Fundamentals of thought.
Fit. Yeah.
That's what it was. It was the fundamentals of Scientology. That's what it told me it was. That's what it was. These ones aren't.
So every week on the show, the person who read the book must give the book a rating. Our rating system consists of 5 levels. At the very bottom, we have toilet paper. The book is only worth the material it's printed on, if that. The second level is shampoo bottle. It's better than nothing. The third level is IKEA manual, competent but not entertaining, or vice versa. It can be entertaining but not competently written. The fourth level is Kindle Pick, worth buying electronically and or discounted at a used bookstore. The highest level we can give a book is hardcover. Instant classic. We recommend you buy this book. So Mr. Gribbs.
Master Gibbs.
Master Gibbs.
You're close.
Dare I ask what you give this book?
It's a toilet paper.
Yeah, okay.
If you didn't see that coming.
Figured.
This was the cheapest of the three that I bought. All of them are hardcover. They're all the same series. This took me an hour and a half to read and notate, which is like no time at all, because it didn't say anything.
Right.
It was a complete waste of paper. It was a complete waste of time. It was a complete waste of energy, which is the exact opposite of the goal that he would purport to be trying to influence. Don't read these books. Maybe look up a Wikipedia page on Scientology, but I haven't actually looked at that to see if it says anything about these books. But yeah, get your support, get your summaries of Scientology from somewhere else. Don't go to the source directly because it's terrible. It's nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you have a meter,
an e-meter?
E-meter. If you have an e-meter, just get in contact with it. I want it.
Get in contact with it?
With us, I'm sorry. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can write us at pagetofar@gmail.com.
It's a page TOOFAR@gmail.com.
Yeah. We also have socials. We have Instagram as well as Twitter.
Yep.
Page Too Far. We have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/agametofar.
Nailed it.
We've been pretty loosey-goosey on that lately. But
yeah, we've been doing kind of whatever we want.
Yeah, and we're still waiting on that custom art for the channel. So excited when that comes out. Send us book suggestions. Let us know what you think of episodes. If you don't want us to say your name in the message, then let us know that as well, because we'll probably say your name.
If you want us to read it on air, let us know. If you don't, let us know.
Yeah. To all the haters out there on our YouTube channel, your criticisms suck ass. You don't source your references.
You're talking about one person in particular?
Two people, actually, but whatever. Fuck you.
We're calling you out.
We don't mind criticism at all. We just want it to be concise and accurate.
Yeah.
Like, so far, criticisms have been like, you called this book shit. No, we actually recommended the book. You guys said there was a plot hole and there wasn't. No, we never mentioned any plot holes.
Yeah.
At me. Come on. I want a legitimate criticism. Come on.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. Internet sucks.
Internet's a terrible place. Why are we on here?
I don't know. Go check out our Patreon. We have a Patreon. There's a link down below.
That's why we're on here.
Yeah.
Those guys. Those patrons. They're our world.
We're about to do a commentary, too.
We are about to do a
Right
commentary.
now.
We don't know what film, though.
Not yet. That out. We're gonna flip a quarter. So
yeah. We love you. Patreon.com/pagetofar.
Mash that subscribe! Okay, come on. Oh, yeah! That was it. That was it. I had it.
I told you can't do it.
I can't.
You get one more try.
No, I'm going to do this until it's done.
Your last try.
I'm going to do this until it's done.